This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
And the time right now is 4:27. I want to welcome you into Good Morning Indiana. I'm Lauren Casey.
And I'm Meredith Barrick. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and the community and law enforcement partners are working together to cut down on the number of incidents and, of course, victims of domestic violence.
Yeah, we're looking at ways that the city is helping these survivors and also a number of ways that you can help them as well. They're urging people to speak up. So we're going to be talking about different things going on this month and just raising awareness because this really impacts more people than you think.
Yes, it's often kept a secret by many because they are so scared to come forward and say they need help. So we are letting you know what resources are out there, and we're also hearing from a woman who was a victim of domestic violence herself and is speaking up for those who no longer, unfortunately, have a voice.
Yes. In other news, we are following an issue. This happened up in Carmel at Clay Terrace, so it's kind of bringing up the question of what can people do in public? A woman there says that she's being followed around by a man who is taking inappropriate pictures of her from behind. The problem is he can do this in public and she's wearing clothes, so it's like very confusing as to how to get this person in trouble or not. There's surveillance video, as you can see.
Yeah, some may say, wouldn't this be voyeurism? You know, he's taking pictures of her from behind, seemingly without her permission, but because she is wearing clothes, there's nothing really that she can do about it, unfortunately. So we're exploring this topic a little bit more and what you can do if this ever happens to you.
Yep, we do want to bring in Alyssa Donovan right now and talk about our forecast. Another scorcher yesterday, Alyssa.
Yes.
It's Wednesday, middle of the week. We're in October. What can we expect today?
So still not going to feel really quite like October today.
Okay.
We're going to see those temperatures in the 90s for many of us. Up to the north, we're going to see those temperatures in the upper 80s, and that's just because we have a boundary that's going to move down as we head into the afternoon. That'll bring us a stray shower, maybe a thunderstorm for northern counties. Most of us will be dry today. 71 to start. Again, those morning lows that we're seeing are actually supposed to be our daytime highs. That's typically where we see our daytime highs this time of year. But again, today we're about 20 degrees above average, a little bit more cloud coverage throughout the day as that system to the north of us sags down. But besides that, it's going to be another warm day. We do have a little bit of a cool down as we head towards the weekend. So that's the good news. If you are ready for fall, it's going to feel like it very soon.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Yes, I think everyone's ready. All right, thanks, Alyssa. And finally, there are thousands of jobs currently available in the manufacturing industry here in Indiana, but there aren't enough bodies to fill them. And one reason for that is because there aren't enough people with the right skills. So we are looking at a new initiative by Connexus, Indiana called Catapult that is launching people into their manufacturing careers. You just go through a 4-week training program. We'll tell you all about it coming up right here on Good Morning Indiana.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Coming up on Good Morning Indiana, a man convicted of killing an IU student has been released from prison. The decision now facing prosecutor's office for a retrial.
And October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, how Indianapolis officials and community organizations are working to prevent domestic violence and hold offenders accountable.
And a former Martinsville police chief is facing new criticism about overpaying 2 employees. The reimbursement he now has to pay that city. Here at 4:30, we do want to welcome you into Good Morning Indiana on this Wednesday. I'm Lauren Casey.
And I'm Meredith Barrick. Alyssa Donovan joining us. Another hot day out there.
Yes.
But the good news is fall is finally on its way.
It's on its way. It's not here yet. It's not here tomorrow. But by Friday, that's my promise. It's going to feel a little bit more like fall. So we just have to get through the next couple days. Yesterday, we did hit that record. That was the warmest day in October on record.
Wow.
92 degrees. And today we're going to be close to that again across the area. Our lows this morning starting really where our highs should be this time of year. 71 degrees right now in Indianapolis. It's 76 in Muncie. So that gives you an idea of just how warm it is starting today, and we are going to stay warm throughout the afternoon. You can see we have high pressure in control, but to the north of us, we do have a boundary that's going to move down throughout the day. That will bring us a little bit more cloud coverage, especially for areas to the north. As we head into the afternoon and early evening hours, we also have the potential of seeing a few stray showers and thunderstorms. Most of that activity activity will be to the north of us. Here in Indianapolis, just a small chance of seeing that. A lot of that will stay to the north, but we will see a little bit more cloud coverage from that. So areas to the north won't be quite as warm today. Here in Indianapolis, we are expected to hit 90 degrees, which again is above the record for this day, which is 89. So we'll keep an eye on that for you, starting in the 70s this morning, climbing into the 90s by the afternoon.
All right, Alyssa, thank you so much. We're keeping a close eye on traffic as you're heading out the door this morning. Here's a live look on the north side. This is I-65 at 30th Street. Now, heads up, we do have that ongoing construction in this area. You can see the orange barrels out blocking some of the travel lanes, so this is something normal if you normally travel through this area. And we also have a stalled semi there in the right shoulder, so just a heads up if you're traveling on the north side. As you get to the downtown area, you shouldn't run into any problems here. I-65 and I-70 at the north split. We'll take a live look in that area. Traffic is moving along just fine here through downtown. Of course, we'll continue to monitor your roads this morning and keep you updated on any crashes or delays. Well, for the entire month of October, survivors and advocates are working together to take a stand against violence between domestic partners. It's an issue that's touched 53% of Americans.
IMPD recorded more than 4,600 reports of domestic violence last year alone. And while the city is working on prevention, Danielle Smith is a domestic violence survivor, speaking up for those who are no longer here. She hopes to use her voice to explain domestic violence, a situation that not everyone can see clearly. A vigil last night remembered the Indiana lives cut short due to domestic violence this year, a visual representation of just how real the issue is.
I think it's good because it kind of brings a sense of closure and to know that you are not alone in this and that it impacts a lot of families all across the state of Indiana. So coming here will definitely bring you some type of closure.
Mayor Hogsett says a new grant from the Department of Justice will help prevent or intercept the violence that killed 31 Hoosiers in the last year. And all state insurance locations across central Indiana are collecting donations for survivors through a partnership with the Indiana Coalition Against Domestic Violence. The supplies will help get people back on their feet after leaving violent relationships. Needed items include linens, soap, shampoo, paper products, and non-perishable food. The donation drive runs from now until October 11th. You can learn more at allstatefoundation.org.
It's 4:34 today. We're expecting to learn more about a crash that left one person dead in Lawrence. Police were called out to a crash along Pendleton Pike near East 56th Street around 5:30 Tuesday night. An SUV and a semi-truck were involved in this wreck. So far, police have not released any details about what led up to the collision that killed one person. We're still working to learn the identity of that victim.
The Morgan County Prosecutor's Office has 120 days to decide whether to retry the man accused of killing an Indiana University student. In 2006, a jury convicted John Myers of murdering 19-year-old Jill Bierman. Bierman disappeared in 2000 after leaving her home in Bloomington to go for a bike ride. Her remains were found 3 years later. On Monday, the U.S. District Court ruled Myers' counsel during his trial was ineffective. That means he must be released from prison unless the prosecutor's office decides to retry him. The prosecutor released a statement saying in part, quote, "It is premature to discuss the next step in the case. However, I do plan on meeting with the victims and the investigator before any decision is made." Jill's mother, Marilyn Bierman, told RTV6, "I am disappointed with this ruling, but this is out of my control. I will count on Morgan County Prosecutor Steve Senega to help guide me through this process, whether that be an appeal leading to a new trial or not. I'm more concerned with the emotional toll this will take on family and friends."
Well, after 10 months, the search for a missing man in Shelbyville has come to a sad end. Human remains found in the attic of an apartment on East Broadway Street have been identified as 44-year-old Derek Beagle. Beagle was reported missing on December 1st last year. Police do not believe foul play was a factor in his death, but investigators and Beagle's son say there are still many questions about what happened.
I hope we get the answer we've been waiting on. I know we've been dealing with this for about 10 months now. Like any answer is better than just not knowing.
Obviously, it's a process. We wanted to get the information out as quickly as they could, but as accurately as we possibly could, knowing that we're not going to be able to answer everything right now.
Police say Beagle did not live in that apartment complex where he was found, and it's unclear why he was there.
A newly released audit is criticizing a former Martinsville police chief for the overpayment of 2 police department employees. Matthew Long was appointed police chief in 2016 and is currently on unpaid leave for pending criminal charges of theft and official misconduct. According to the audit, Long made an entry into the payroll software for 80 hours of compensatory or comp time for an employee, Kristen Clayton, in 2017. The State Board of Accounts says she only earned 37.5 hours. Clayton and Long were both asked to reimburse more than $1,000 to the city. Clayton made her payment in August. In a separate incident, Officer Blake Long was overpaid for 7 unused sick days without documentation. He has been issued to pay more than $600 in reimbursement. All 3 parties have been asked to pay an additional $3,000 for special investigation costs. Matthew Long's criminal trial is scheduled for November 18.
It's 4:37. Today marks 1 year since the murder of journalist and Indiana State University alum Jamal Khashoggi. He was killed while visiting the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. In his honor, the university is holding a candlelight vigil tonight to honor his courage and journalism advocacy. He graduated from ISU in 1983, and it's believed that the Saudi government had ordered his death for being openly critical of the country's crown prince. A candlelight vigil will also be held at the Royal Embassy in Washington, D.C.
Indiana University could play a big role in the fight against Alzheimer's. On Tuesday, the IU School of Medicine announced a $36 million grant to develop treatments for the debilitating disease. The funding from the National Institutes of Health will be used to open a drug discovery center to help with the research.
It's the disease many say that involves 2 losses, first to the disease and then through the loss of life. So what are we going to do about it? Well, I'm grateful to say that there's hope. The newly announced Alzheimer's Disease Drug Discovery Center, which is a strategic partnership between the IU School of Medicine and Purdue University, will be a powerful addition to the fight against Alzheimer's disease.
Alzheimer's affects an estimated 5.5 million Americans, including more than 100,000 people right here in Indiana. The new center is expected to create 15 to 20 jobs.
2 Indiana counties will be aerial spraying to combat a rare mosquito-borne illness that has killed 10 people nationwide. The virus is called Triple E, and it's been found in several horses up in Elkhart and LaGrange counties. Both counties authorized the spraying on Monday. There have not been any human cases yet in Indiana, but cases have been confirmed in neighboring Michigan. The virus can cause brain infections. The aerial spraying is scheduled to begin in Elkhart County later today. LaGrange County has not finalized their plans. An urgent meeting has been called with lawmakers about the Ukraine whistleblower scandal. Coming up, the latest on the impeachment battle.
And police are now looking for a woman caught on camera taunting a lion at the zoo. Still ahead, how the woman got into that enclosure in the first place. Alyssa.
And another very warm day. Those temperatures about 20 degrees above average still. Coming up, I'll tell you how long this heat is going to last.
Fish, yeah.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. It is 4:42 here on our Wednesday, and we're keeping a close eye on traffic. I-69 at 106th Street in Fishers. Traffic's picking up, but traveling up to speed. We'll keep you updated on any issues.
A new twist in the explosive impeachment battle in Washington. The State Department's independent watchdog is heading to Capitol Hill today for what's being called an urgent briefing on the Ukraine scandal. Meanwhile, House Democrats are now trying to bypass Secretary of State Mike Pompeo as they face off over impeachment witnesses. ABC's Serena Marshall explains.
1 week into the impeachment fight, the battle between the executive and legislative branches on full display. In Italy,
Mr. Secretary, do you have any comment on reports you're on the July 25th call with President Zelensky?
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo not answering questions, but back home trading written threats with Democrats, responding to their request for confidential interviews with State Department employees as an act of intimidation intended to bully and treat improperly those employees. Democrats firing back, not to Pompeo, but his number 2, writing, Secretary Pompeo now appears to have an obvious conflict of interest after new revelations that Pompeo was on that call between President Trump and the president of Ukraine. threatening to withhold his salary and saying he was the one trying to intimidate witnesses or prevent them from talking with Congress.
He's basically wants to put the State Department in lockdown.
But the State Department's independent watchdog now set to give an urgent briefing to lawmakers today. Sources telling ABC News the highly unusual meeting is related to the department and Ukraine. President Trump, meanwhile, continuing his defense via Twitter, writing he's come to the conclusion that what is taking place is not an impeachment, it is a coup, and still trying to unmask the whistleblower. But the Senate's most senior Republican not having it. Senator Chuck Grassley rebuking the president, writing in a statement the whistleblower ought to be heard out and protected. Despite Pompeo's objection, at least one of the 5 State Department employees will be making an appearance on Capitol Hill. Kurt Volker, the former envoy to Ukraine, confirming he will attend his deposition scheduled for Thursday. Serena Marshall, ABC News, Washington.
The U.S. has blocked imports from companies in 5 countries it suspects are using forced labor. They include Brazil, China, Malaysia, Congo, and Zimbabwe. The accused companies produce mostly gold, diamonds, and clothing. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol is detaining all products to further investigate. This comes in the middle of a trade dispute between the U.S. and China. CBP says companies can re-export the detained shipments or submit information to show that they are legal.
Johnson & Johnson has reached a settlement agreement with 2 Ohio counties over opioids. The company agreed to pay $20 million in the settlement. The agreement removes them from the upcoming federal trial that combines nearly 2,000 cases and accuses drug makers of shipping suspicious opioid doses for more than 20 years. If the settlements are finalized, Johnson & Johnson would provide $10 million to Cuyahoga and Summit counties. $5 million would go towards reimbursing legal expenses. The company would also give more than $5 million to nonprofit opioid-related programs for those counties. Johnson & Johnson said in a statement that it acted responsibly and the settlement is not an admission of liability.
Right now, police are trying to find a woman that jumped into an enclosure at the zoo and taunted a lion. Take a look here. This video is posted to Instagram over the weekend from the Bronx Zoo. You can see the woman waving and calling to the lion. The only thing separating the two is a small moat. The lion amazingly just stares at her. The zoo says the woman was escorted out of the park. NYPD says she could face charges for trespassing. Here at 4:46, we want to check in with Alyssa Donovan in our Wednesday forecast. Hey, Alyssa.
Hey, it is going to be, again, another summer-like day. I'm using the fall picture, though, because it is eventually going to feel a lot more like fall as we head into the next few days here. By Friday, that's when we'll really start to see those changes. Temperatures will drop off quite a bit from what we're going to see today. Today, another warm one. Those temperatures about 20 degrees above average. And then we do have the potential of a stray shower or thunderstorm, mainly for north central areas this evening and afternoon. And then we are seeing those temperatures drop off by Friday and into the weekend. Right now, starting in the low 70s, 71 degrees right now in Indianapolis. Those winds out of the southwest about 7 miles per hour. We're going to see a little bit of a breeze today out of the west. Those gusts will be close to about 20 miles per hour, just as we see this system to the north of us drop down. So what's going on is we've had that high pressure in control the past couple days. That's kept us very warm and dry. And what's happening next is we're going to see this disturbance just to the north start to sag down throughout the day. And what that's going to do is it's going to start us with a little bit more cloud coverage this morning, and then we'll see a little bit more cloud coverage as we head into the afternoon ahead of that system. So as we see those clouds, temperatures to the north probably won't get quite as warm today, not likely going to reach the 90s with those north central counties. But here in Indianapolis, good chance we'll reach the 90s. Again, it kind of depends on that cloud coverage. We are going to be a little bit warmer to the south. By the afternoon and early evening, we will start to see that potential of a shower or a stray storm, mainly over those north central counties, and then just a chance of seeing those in Indianapolis later tonight, and then things will be drying out again tomorrow. Today, 90 degrees for the high, partly sunny skies, a little bit of a breeze out of the west. Looking ahead, we are going to see those temperatures drop off eventually. So here's a look at our high temperatures today. Tomorrow, Thursday, we're dropping into the 80s, and then we are going to be into the 60s by Friday before we even out to those average temperature highs. The weekend, things are going to be very pleasant, very seasonable. Temperatures in the 70s. Chances of showers and storms move in late Saturday night and into Sunday. So we do have a little bit of a roller coaster when it comes to showers, thunderstorms, and temperatures, but things are going to eventually even out. Today, though, 90 degrees for the high, still warm, partly sunny skies, a little bit more cloud coverage this afternoon. Those spot showers and storms mainly to the north as we head into the afternoon and evening, and then tomorrow, 83, so we are starting to drop off a little bit before we drop way off on Friday into the 60s, a much cooler day. Overnight lows Saturday morning will be into the 40s. That's where we should be this time of year, so it's going to feel cold, but we've been spoiled. Then those temperatures over the weekend, right where we should be in the 70s with showers and thunderstorms expected late Saturday and Sunday.
Alyssa, thank you so much. We're keeping a close eye on traffic as you're heading out the door on this Wednesday. And here's a live look over on the east side, I-70 and Sherman Drive. Traffic in this area is moving along up to speed. No issues to slow you down. Let's take a look right now at our Traffic Now map. Monitoring some construction here to our northwest as you're heading northbound on I-65. You get to State Road 267. We do have crews blocking the right lane, so take it slow as you head through that area. Overall, everything is still moving just fine through that spot. So let's take a turn right now over to Pendleton, I-69 near State Road 38. This is where we have ongoing construction, especially in those overnight hours. And it looks like here everything is moving along just fine, both northbound and southbound. We'll continue to keep a close eye on those roadways and keep you updated.
The U.S. Food and Drug Administration says there are cybersecurity vulnerabilities in medical devices. Those vulnerabilities could allow a hacker to remotely take control of a device and prevent it from functioning. Officials don't know of any confirmed events so far, but they say the software to do this is already available. The FDA is urging manufacturers to take action. Some companies have already notified customers with devices that could be affected. Indianapolis Animal Care Services is allowing you to cuddle before you commit. After the break, how their new program lets you spend time with animals before adoption.
And a man who allegedly took inappropriate pictures of a woman at a Carmel mall is not being charged with a crime. New at 5 o'clock why police say what he did was actually legal. But first.
I'm Vinny Politan. Yesterday on Court TV, former Dallas police officer Amber Geiger was convicted of murdering her neighbor, Botham John. Now today, the same 12 jurors will determine her punishment, which can be anything from 5 to 99 years in prison. We are live in Dallas, Texas today on Court TV.
You can watch the all-new Court TV live on your mobile device by visiting CourtTV.com. We'll be right back.
Was we even there?
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. It is 4:55 here on our Wednesday, and we're monitoring your roads as you're heading out the door, getting ready to go to work possibly early this morning. And there's no problems or crashes in the downtown area. This is I-65 and I-70 at the north split. Some headlights out that way. We'll continue to monitor things and keep you updated.
There's a new program to help people who may be afraid of commitment. But you won't find it on Tinder or Match.com, but at the Indianapolis Animal Care Services. IACS announced its new Cuddle Before You Commit program yesterday. It allows you to foster a dog or cat for 2 weeks before finalizing a pet adoption. During that time, you can get a better idea if the animal you've chosen is a good fit for your home and family. If the animal is not returned or a return appointment is not made by day 15, the adoption application will be processed. For more information about the program, you can head on over to the RTV6 app and click on this story.
Well, Target is opening its doors for trick-or-treating again this year, and the retailer announcing that it'll be holding a big Halloween event on the last Saturday of the month. Kids who come dressed in costumes will be given candy and giveaways. They'll also get to see an exclusive episode of the animated series Paw Patrol. Target's trick-or-treat event will be held at stores nationwide on October 26th.
You know, I personally feel like every day is trick-or-treating at Target when you're an adult.
Right? You always
giveaways that you until you get that red card bill, and then you're like, ooh, but that sounds like a lot of fun, and especially if it's going to be cold out by then, which seems like impossible seeing the weather that we have today.
But it is going to cool down eventually in the forecast. Today, we are back into the low 90s. A lot of areas will probably just reach the upper 80s, especially to the north. Spot chance we'll see those 90-degree temperatures here in Indianapolis. Stray shower or thunderstorm expected for north central counties later this afternoon and evening. 83 tomorrow, then we're dropping off. We're into the 60s by Friday, stabilizing with those temperatures for the weekend. Spot storms on Sunday.